it's just my funny way of laughing. Yes, my funny way of laughing.
Joining us now is a woman who is certainly part of a very large group out there. She is a single mom with 4 children, and her name is Daniella English. Welcome to What She Said. Now, you are studying communications at York, but last May, something propelled you to start a blog and a Facebook page called
The Not So Single Life.
What happened?
Well, I mean, this isn't so inspiring, but I really wanted to get an internship in my program at York, and it's based on my resume. So I figured, okay, great, let's start a blog and have it work as a working resume. But that's the reason I started it. But the reason I continued it was because I saw people were just catching on. People were, I was writing, I was doing videos, I was making memes, and people were just devouring it. And I really realized that I tapped into a niche market here, and I was really providing a voice for people who didn't have one.
One of the things, though, is you try to make it positive.
Yes.
There's no men bashing.
Not at all. Not at all. One of the things you'll notice on my blog, if you really read it, is that I barely even mention my ex-husband. It's not about the men. It's not about my past necessarily. It's about me, and it's about my journey and how I'm going to take it forward and how I'm going to move forward and progress.
Well, as you mentioned, this has struck a chord with a lot of women out there. So for our listeners, many of whom may also be single with children, give us a sample live. Let's hear, I think one of them was the 10 most obnoxious things that people say to a divorcee.
Yes.
So give us a
there's
sample.
Many.
Oh, really? Many more than 10?
Many more.
Many more than 10?
Many more.
Okay. So give us a sample so that people have some idea of why this has become so popular.
Number 1, have you tried therapy? Well, therapy. You mean the one thing that could actually save my marriage? No, I think I kind of forgot that. No, I totally bypassed that one. It's like, of course. And why is it your place to ask me if I tried therapy? Like, did I ask you on all the weight loss techniques that you use? No, like, back off. Once your story's out there, people kind of feel like they can ask you anything. When they know parts of you, they feel like they can just comment and ask. And it's like the equivalent of touching a pregnant woman's belly. It's kind of like a personal space here. Back away. So, number 2, you should really just stay in it for the kids. Plenty of women have suffered before. You wouldn't be the first one to suffer. I've actually heard this myself, and I've actually had to just bite my tongue and say, thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you. But really, this advice is just antiquated. Everybody knows. Hopefully everyone espouses and believes that it's better to come from a broken home than live in a broken home. These are not words to live by anymore. This is a good one. I never liked him anyhow. Really, you could do so much better. Really.
I have heard that too.
Right?
Actually, yes.
It's like, where were you 10 years ago when I was walking down the aisle? Seriously. Like, this is the equivalent of coming back to me and saying, I told you so. Like, does that help me? Does that really help me at all? No, it doesn't. 4, you'll get remarried soon. You'll see I have a cousin who has 10 kids and he got remarried no time flat. You have 4. You're great. You're gorgeous. You'll be set to go. Doesn't work that way. I had these dating apps on my phone. You try and make these cute little bios and stuff like that. So I put in that I had kids. And then I was like, let's up the ante a little. And I put in that I had 4 kids. That place was a ghost town. It was shut down. No swipes, no nothing. All of a sudden, nobody wants to talk to me anymore. I go from being like the queen of the kingdom to like barely a pauper. It's like, sayonara. Not to say that it doesn't happen, but I think people like to say it more for their own sake than for your sake. They want to believe that you're going to be happy again, and being happy to them is being married. Mm-hmm. Another good one. I know how you feel. My husband always travels. I'm like a single mother anyway. You're really not. But you're really not. Sorry, honey. You're really not. And I know what it feels like, because when I was married, my husband traveled a lot. And I probably said it too myself. But when you're a single mom, a real single mom, you're just not. It's not the same thing. There's not that backup. Even if it's just mentally knowing that you're part of a team, even if it's not a successful team, even if it's not a working team, you know there's somebody else there, even if they're not physically there. When it's you, it's just you. Just you.
So obviously this has struck a chord. Are there any positive things about being a single mom?
Oh, for sure.
Really?
For sure.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, I'm living the life that I wanted to live, and I get to live, and I feel so grateful for that. When I was married, I used to say, I can't, my next life, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go to school for marketing and communications. I'm going to be some high-powered executive, like wear heels and tight skirts to work every day, and I'm going to totally rock it. And I was like, that's my next life. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom. This is what I do. And I feel so grateful and so fortunate that I got to start my life over again. I got a second chance at life, and I'm 33. It's relatively young. I mean, not compared to my classmates in school who, we were talking the other day and nobody knew what Clueless was. And I felt 1,000 years old. Like I grew up with Dion and Cher and nobody had any idea who they were. Like, oh God. But yeah, I get to start over. I get to be a role model to my children. I get to be that image of empowerment to them, to show them what they can do and what they can be. And that, I think, is incredible. I mean, there's also something to be said for just, running your house your own way. And, if it's pancakes for dinner, maybe 3 nights, 4 nights, maybe 5 nights in a row, then nobody cares.
Yeah, there isn't anybody saying, what about chicken?
Yeah, nobody cares at all. And there's something to be said for that. Definitely. Yeah.
Where do you think you're going to go with this? Because there are so many single women with children out there. Maybe many of them feel a little bit isolated.
It can be incredibly isolating. And it's this social phenomenon where it's so prevalent, but people don't want to talk about it. And people don't want to talk about the feelings being associated with it, like, the word loneliness. Nobody wants to talk about those things, and no one wants to bring them to light and bring them to the surface. And I find doing so is so empowering, and it really it makes the world a lot smaller. All of us, I wrote an article and I said we all have the same disease, but our symptoms are different. So we're all going through the same thing. It might manifest differently for each of us, but we're all experiencing the same things at different levels and different ways, depending on our circumstances, our situations. My dream for this blog would be for it to lead into more writing opportunities to express myself there, because that's really my craft and my passion is writing. Speaking opportunities as well, being able to be that positive image for this community would be a real pleasure, would be a real gift for me.
Well, I think when you talk about modeling for children, role modeling, being a strong woman, being able to take charge for children, I think that's certainly a great opportunity.
100%. Just the other week, my mother said to me, she's like, once a week you need to get out, because I have the kids with me.
I was going to ask you about the social life.
Yeah, and I said, you know what I want to do is I want to go back to Toastmasters. And I went back, and they have these things called table topics where they give you like a random topic. And so I got this little award for it. I came home, I put it on the fridge, and my son was asking me what it was, and I told him, and I said, are you okay with me being out every Tuesday night for this? He's like, Mama, you should really do it. It's really good. You should really do it. And it's just this idea that, like, my son is understanding that it's good for me to be empowered. It's good for me as a mother, as a woman, as a person, to have that own self-fulfillment, to be empowered like that. And the fact that my children understand that and they're willing to sacrifice their time with me, that's a big deal. That's not to be taken for granted for.
5-second answer. Would you get married again?
Yes.
The romantic!
I know.
The romantic!
I know.
Love it. Wishing you all the best, Daniella English. I'm sure you'll get your degree. I'm sure you'll meet the man of your dreams. But in the meantime, this is certainly resonating with a lot of people. And thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you for having me.
This is What She Said on The Jewel. Stay with us.